Today we are going to be looking at how adverbs work with verbs and adjectives. And if you remember, adverbs can also modify other adverbs. And we're going to be looking at exactly how we can identify an adverb's job in a sentence. Okay? And there's three rules or three ideas I want to prepare you with before we get to our examples. First, adverbs answer the questions how or in what way, but they can also answer the questions where or when. Second, when adverbs modify verbs or entire sentences, because that's something they will occasionally do, they can often be moved within the sentence. They could be at the beginning of the sentence, they could be in the middle of the sentence, or they could come at the end of the sentence. Just like many prepositional phrases can be moved in sentences. The third thing I want you to understand before we start looking at our examples is that when adverbs are modifying adjectives or other adverbs, they will generally come right before the word that they are modifying. Just like adjectives with nouns. Okay? So, as we move into looking at these examples, I want you to see if you can tell me, or maybe more accurately, your teacher, what the job of the adverb is in the sentence. Or, what is the adverb modifying? Let's look at some examples. So I know you might be a little young for this example, but it's an easy one to work through, so I want you to bear with me. I'm a little older, and, well, this is our example. And we're starting with a very simple idea. Seeing someone and thinking, wow, that person is pretty. And we're starting with this girl. The girl is really pretty. So here we have our subject, and the subject will be the same through most of these examples. The girl, or she. Whenever you see she, we're talking about the girl. And our verb is pretty much the same in most of these examples. We're using the linking, or the being verb, is. And we're describing the girl, okay? So pretty is the adjective we're using to describe the noun. Remember, that's what these being verbs, these linking verbs, generally do. They connect the noun to more information about the noun. And what we're doing is we're talking here about how pretty the girl is. She is really pretty. She is. Really. So here, these words are not quite doing the same thing. And you should recognize that if this was the first sentence, it wouldn't make any sense. We need to have the more information about the girl before we can agree with the information. And that's what this sentence is doing. We can't have a sentence by itself simply saying, she is. We need to know what she is. So this whole thing is kind of like a conversation. I want you to imagine different voices all agreeing, okay? And we're going to start again at the beginning. The girl is really pretty. She is really. Here, the really is talking about how pretty the girl is. We're in agreement, okay? That's what this really is doing. It's not modifying how pretty, it's modifying this entire thought, or the verb, okay? She really is very pretty. So here again, this really is modifying that she is very pretty. Very pretty much means the same thing as really. We're just using the same idea, okay? But to describe different parts of speech. Very pretty. Okay? I saw her yesterday. So our subject is different. The speaker is the subject. The speaker did something, different kind of verb. This is an active verb. And yesterday is answering the question when she was seen, okay? I saw her when? Yesterday. So yesterday, the adverb at the end is describing when the girl was seen. It's describing the verb saw. Really, she is quite beautiful. So here we're just using another word for pretty, another adjective. Is, she's quite beautiful. Is the verb. It's in the contraction with the subject. And again, this really here is modifying either the whole idea or the verb, okay? Remember, verbs are the most important pieces of sentences. Without a verb, you can't formulate an idea around non-action or non-being, okay? So when the adverb is describing sort of the whole sentence, you can still think of it as really mostly describing the verb, okay? So really, she's quite beautiful. I think so too. Truly. Now here, this is important because we have 3 adverbs, no adjectives. They're all at the end. We have that same first person speaker subject. Think is the verb. It's still an active verb. It's something that someone does. And so is in agreement. To is with someone else. And truly, well, it's what it sounds like. It's honest. It's true, okay? And all of these adverbs are describing the way in which the speaker is thinking. The speaker is thinking in agreement with someone else honestly. She is really pretty. Now, if you'll notice, I could take she and use the girl. And these 2 sentences are almost exactly the same. They could be exactly the same. I could say, she is really pretty. She is really pretty. But the adverbs are doing a different job. And this is why punctuation can be very important in your sentences, especially with different parts of speech or different kinds of words. Here, the girl is really pretty. It's really describing how pretty she is. Here, she is really, honestly, truly describing the verb, describing this idea. Pretty is the adjective that completes the thought. So the important thing you need to remember is that any word or group of words that can be moved around in a sentence can also be removed or taken out of sentences, and you can still have complete thoughts. So we could go back and we could look at the examples and we can take out pretty much all the adverbs. Pretty much. The girl is pretty. She is. She is pretty. I saw her. She's beautiful. I think we can't stop there. We can't just say, I think. Here we do need to show some kind of agreement given the context. So in this sentence, so is pretty important. We would say, I think so. Because think is one of those verbs that needs something after it. We need to know what you're thinking. When your teacher asks you, what are you thinking? You can't just say, You have to tell us. We need to know. And here, I think so is the important part, the important ending of that word. And lastly, we could just say, she is pretty. So let's review.
Adverbs with verbs and adjectives. What words do adverbs describe? Adverbs describe verbs, adjectives, and other adverbs. They never describe nouns. What questions do adverbs answer? Adverbs answer the questions how, in what way, where, or when. When can you move adverbs in a sentence? You can move adverbs in a sentence when they modify verbs or entire sentences. Where is the adverb if it modifies an adjective or other adverb? If the adverb modifies an adjective or adverb, it is usually directly before the word it modifies. What is the first word we should find in a sentence? The first word we should find is the verb. What do being or linking verbs do? Being verbs connect a noun with more information about the noun. What happens when you remove the adverbs from a sentence? When you remove the adverbs from a sentence, you usually still have a complete thought.